Happy Independence Day weekend for all of our American viewers out there. We're here at the Daytona International Speedway for some action at this 2.5 mile tri-oval super speedway. And we're going to have some drinking tonight, some fireworks on and off the track, and some very close, fast racing. We're here in qualifying right now, just concluding practice about a minute and a half ago, and a lot of action happening during that practice. Some big wrecks, some stuff here and there, and a lot of fun happening. I got a chance to personally race with some of these guys, practice with them and all that, so really cool for that to happen. But we're here in qualifying, like I already said, but I'm Cam Rich, and I got Peter Short in the booth, Carlos Costa, man of those cameras, as always. We're excited to bring you this one here for 3 Wide TV. And Peter, we were here earlier in the season. We saw Chris Burge take home the win to start off the B-Car Series here in the SimPossible Race League. And definitely Chris has shown that he has what it takes on these big tracks as well as the smaller tracks in the other series in the SimPossible League. So I think that he might be one of the ones to watch tonight. But a lot of drivers out here are going to want to take home the win, and a lot of drivers can win these types of racetracks. They're quite a bit different than any other tracks we go to. Of course, mostly about drafting and just a lot of close pack racing right now. I know that we've raced these kind of races together quite a bit. So, what really is the key to winning at these tracks?
Well, there's quite a few variables that go into winning at Daytona International Speedway. Of course, like you mentioned, it is a restrictor plate track, so it's a frenemies night. Whenever you go to a super speedway, you have to have your frenemies out there, someone to help draft you to the front. And once you are there up at the front, you're going to be blocking both the bottom and the outside lanes. We'll see that quite a bit tonight. Drivers looking in their rearview mirror, just kind of gauging where all the other race cars are behind them to try and maintain that race lead. But it all comes down to who leads on the final lap. We've seen last lap passes here at Daytona quite a bit. Just drivers using the draft to their advantage. And here tonight, we have a fairly lengthy race. So all these drivers will have to stay patient, stay out of the big wrecks to get their cars to the end. Because to finish first you must finish.
Absolutely, and on board, we're with Tanner Sharp right now, one of the strongest drivers at the plate tracks. I would have to assume, because I've raced with Tanner before, and he's a very competent super speedway racer. He's a very competent driver all around in the SimPossible League. Of course, winning the last 4 events: Pocono, Michigan, Iowa, and Chicagoland. So if he can win if he can win here tonight, that'll be 5 in a row, which is absolutely incredible. After missing the Charlotte race earlier on this year, he's doing all he can and more to make up those points that he lost in that event. So definitely Tanner on a mission, the hottest driver in the SimPossible League right now. See him dive down to the bottom of that yellow line to start his second lap. And your second lap here in qualifying is your money lap. That's where all your speed is going to be. So you want to get that car wound up around the outside as much as you can and just hold it around that bottom line for your fast lap in qualifying. But really, Peter, qualifying here does not matter too incredibly much. It's mostly for pit selection, because you can go from first to last or last to first in the span of a couple of laps. So I have to assume that we're going to see a lot of drivers not take time tonight. About 5 not taking time so far on the board right now. I think that Tanner might be the last one that actually takes time. Actually, he might not be able to get his lap in, because we're ending qualifying right now, and indeed we are. So he's not going to be able to complete his lap. That's going to give the pole to David Wilson, 1/1000th faster than the 48 of Mark Dingman.
Yeah, great qualifying lap there by Dave Wilson. Also Mark Dingman. We haven't seen all too much of Mark Dingman starting on the front row, but here he is at Daytona. It is kind of the wild card race. It's a great equalizer here at Daytona, and it should be an exciting race tonight.
Absolutely, and we'll get your grid situated for you in just a moment as everybody gets in their cars and gets ready to get going on this 75 lap event. But on the pole, as we said, Dave Wilson, number 20 car, and to his outside, number 48 of Mark Dingman.
On row number 2 will be the number 98 of Christopher Burge, already getting a win here at Daytona earlier this season. To his outside, the number 17 of Fernando Matos.
A pair of Chevrolets comprise of row number 3, with Nick Tilla on the inside and Johnny Berardi on the outside.
On row number 4 will be the number 56 of Tom Johnson. To his outside, the 1 of Thomas Wise.
And your last qualifier for tonight's event, not able to get the lap time in, is number 3 of Tanner Sharp. We'll just go through the grid the rest of the grid for you real shortly. Alan Caper is going to be starting in the 10th position, Billy Wise in 11th, Doug McCollum at 12th, and Brian Lowhead, the perennial caboose of qualifying. Generally doesn't ever take a time, not really needed to here in a race at Daytona, but definitely will not stay there very long. He's going to be starting in the 13th position. But all these drivers know what's coming up for them in the next 75 laps. So a lot of anticipation, a lot of excitement, a lot of nervousness in these drivers, I have to assume, because they know what racing at Daytona entails, and they know that really, anything can go wrong, and it's usually not in your control.
Yeah, and speaking of things out of your control here in sim racing, we have quite a few things that go into racing each week. One of those is, of course, electricity. And unfortunately, your points leader coming into tonight's race, Kyle Zimmer, is without electricity and will not be starting tonight's event. And that's going to be a pretty big hit in points for Kyle here at Daytona. I'm sure he's been looking forward to this race because Daytona is always a lot of fun.
Absolutely, and that's a shame. Kyle Zimmer has been at every single SimPossible Racing League race since its first event back in the inaugural truck season, and tonight's going to be the first race that he misses. No fault of his own, so we can't really put that too much against him. Of course, like you said, electricity matters, and if you don't have it at your place, then there's not much you can do about it. But Kyle, we hope to see you again next week, and hopefully you enjoy watching the race. Stick around and enjoy some Daytona action. Definitely wish you were out there racing, though, because there's going to be some fireworks out tonight, and we're probably going to have some fireworks outside of our houses here pretty soon, because, as we said, it is Independence Day, not weekend, but it's July 3rd right now.
Yeah, fireworks on track, though, most definitely here, as we're about half a lap away from turning these B cars loose around the 2.5 famed Daytona International Speedway, not too far away from the beach, and just alongside the International Airport here in Daytona Beach. And it'll be pretty interesting to see if we see any aircraft landing here in the air racing sim. If you keep an eye out, you might get to see one landing coming out of turn number 2. It's pretty interesting when you do see it. Comes in very fast for all those people who are interested in aircraft like myself. I gotta say, I think it lands a little bit too fast, but we'll let the iRacing devs fix that. But nonetheless, we're coming out of turn number 4. Gonna get the green flag this time, Cameron.
Yeah, so this is the time where all these drivers are thinking what their first moves are going to be. Of course, they're side by side, ready to go. These two drivers lined up 2 by 2 by 2 all throughout the pack from first to last. Pace car is in, green flag out for everybody. It looked like a good solid start for most of the field. Had some shuffling of positions further on back already, but it looks like both the 20 of Wilson and the 48 of Dingman off to a good start. They got pushes from the 98 of Roberge, that's Wilson's teammate, so he's going to be happy to see that car in his mirror, as well as Fernando Matos pushing the 48 of Dingman. It looks like that inside line is very well formed up right now, about 5 cars nose to tail. Tanner Sharp, the tail end of that first line on the inside line. It looks like Nate Catilla pulling out a line on the backstretch, so it looks like he's wanting to just get himself to the back to stay out of any potential trouble, and I think he's going to just ride in the back for the first part of this race.
Yeah, Thomas Wise also missed the start of the race in that number 1 Chevrolet, so he's almost a lap down. Only 1 lap into this thing. He's currently going down the backstretch, but here are your leaders. Coming down to lead lap number 1 is Dave Wilson in the number 20 machine. Started on the point and did lead that first lap. Right behind him is his teammate, like you said, Chris Roberge, and then it's about a 2 car lengths back to Mark Dingman, who's settled in the 3rd position with Tom Johnson and Fernando Matos rounding out your top 5. Pretty much single file here in the early going at Daytona.
You got about a 6-car breakaway at the front from Dave Wilson back to Tanner Sharp, and then about 4 cars in their own little pack, a couple tenths behind him. Looks like that second pack is a little bit broken up right now. They were lined up, but it looks like Alan Caper's outside on that outside line, so gonna pull back into line. So everybody looks like they're just taking it easy right now. This is a pretty long race, like we've said. No use in making any moves at this point in the race, and we are running 100% fuel in this league as opposed to the Monday night, so definitely you can go quite a bit on fuel, and I don't think that we're going to have to be thinking about pit stops until at least lap 20 or so.
Yeah, they have plenty of fuel on board, 100% fuel, so they have the full tank, so I expect them to go quite a few laps. There you see the number 1 of Thomas Wise. He is currently struggling. You see he's got no drafting partner out there. He's currently about 10 miles per hour off the speed of the other cars, if not more. So in about 15 minutes or so, we'll probably see Thomas Wise 1 lap down.
Absolutely, and that's not the way you want to start off any race. Of course, I know that from experience. I missed the start of a Daytona race earlier on, and it definitely it's not a good feeling having to run around slowly at a reduced pace like that. So he's going to be wanting a caution or something to come out just so he can get his get his track position back. We have a side-by-side battle further on in the back. It's like Billy Wise has some drafting help from the 13 of Alan Capers going around the outside of the 99 of Berardi, that America-themed paint scheme this week. He's got some help from Tanner Sharp right in front of him, so let's see if that outside line can get some momentum, make a charge towards the front.
Yeah, we got to keep an eye on Tanner Sharp. He's going to try and get that number 3 machine up to the front tonight. He does have a special paint scheme on that number 3 machine here tonight. He's flying the name of his father on the window of that number 3 machine, so pretty cool to see Tanner Sharp sporting those colors here tonight. If you can even see that camo number 3 machine, but look at this run that he got coming out of turn number 4. They checked up right in front of him because the number 98, Chris Roberge, ducked out right from behind his teammate. Chris Roberge, he did lead that lap, but that's going to put Tanner Sharp in that outside line right up behind him. We're side by side for the race lead.
And I thought that 3 of Tanner Sharp was going to have to go to the outside 3 right around Roberge. There's just no room to do that right now. Not enough risk versus reward in this stage of the race to make a move like that. So he's just going to push that 98 and look at how far out in front the 98 has gotten in front of his teammate. But he's going to move down the inside line, cut in front of his teammate, and leave Tanner Sharp out to dry. But Tanner Sharp still has help from behind from Billy Wise and a little bit further back, 13 of Alan Capers. So that outside line, not completely broken up right now, but definitely not have the momentum of the inside line at this point.
Yeah, well, if you do the math, the inside line has 4 cars to the outside 3. Usually more cars is better. And you can see that right now as that inside line's just starting to inch away just a little bit more. But one thing I heard from the drivers is you do not really want to bump draft these cars because they are very squirrely. The front end of these cars are very rounded, and if you hit the rear bumper of the car in front of you just a little bit off from center, it will turn that car around. So that's something to keep an eye on, Cameron. Bump drafting is something that is always important here at super speedways, but with the way these cars are driving here tonight, I don't think we'll see it as much.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the talking points had from the first race at Daytona, along with that very narrow rear spoiler on these cars. It has some weird aerodynamics to where really on the entry of the corner when you're first turning the wheel and you have the most wheel in it, if you're too close to the car in front of you, they can just whip around and there's absolutely no chance to save it. So I think all these drivers learning from that race. Of course, it's still fresh in their minds, having occurred back in, I believe, March or so, actually February. So it's very fresh in their minds. They know what happened last race, and they're going to be very wary of that right now. But we have a charge on the outside line. Fernando Matos with a push from Tanner Sharp. He's got himself up to 2nd position right now. See if he can make a move off of turn number 4.
Yeah, that outside line once again starting to get formed up with the help from Tanner Sharp. Fernando Matos now pulling alongside the number 20 of Dave Wilson as they head through the tri-oval. Here, we've completed 7 laps around this joint, almost 20 miles into tonight's feature race. And Dave Wilson still bump drafting his teammate there, a little bit of a nudge into turn number 1. That's going to allow Chris Roberge to pull out ahead one more time. But look at this charge at the outside line, gets up off the corner. Tanner Sharp tucked up right on the back bumper of the number 17 of Matos, and that is going to give Matos a head of steam going into turn number 3. He's not quite able to pull alongside Roberge just yet, but that outside line is the strongest we've seen it so far tonight.
And common sense would say that, of course, 3 cars on the outside line versus about 5 on the inside line. It should be a lot, less strong than it is. But really, that rule doesn't technically work all the time because it's really all about momentum. And you can have a lot of momentum with fewer cars. It just all depends on how those runs play out. That outside line is a little bit closer knit than the inside line right now, at least with Matos and Sharp. So they have a pretty big head of steam right now, and I think they might be able to do something down the backstretch here. Good run for that 17 and the 3 together. Tanner Sharp, a little bit of offset drafting there. You really have to be careful with that because that is a good way to turn the car in front of you, especially on the straightaway. It's really easy to do that, so he's going to have to watch out for that.
You're watching this 9-car lead draft, but Unfortunately, 2 drivers have also lost the draft, that being the number 4 of Nate Catilla and the 66 of Brian Lowhead. Both of those drivers now 6.4 and 13.3 seconds off the lead respectively, as the outside line once again through the tri-oval mounting a charge as they head off into turn number 1, and Matos is going to pull side by side with the race leader Chris Roberge. And Cameron, I'm really impressed with Tanner Sharp staying right on the back bumper of that number 17 machine.
Yeah, you just see how much these cars are moving around, and that's not from the wheel being input by the driver. That's just how these cars move around the draft. It really is pretty jarring as a driver, and you do have to use the wheel to correct those movements, and you have to be careful with that, because if you make any abrupt movements, correcting the natural movement of the car, you can get yourself in a position to where you can cause a wreck that way. So all these drivers are doing a good job to keep that under check. Looks like very close drafting there with the 20 and the 17. Is 20 also close with his teammate in front of him? You see somebody in front of the lead pack here. It's Thomas Wise, who, as we said earlier, missed the start. So he's going to be quite off the pace right now. Just going to have to let the pack around him and fall into the back of it, and hope that he can get a caution so he can get his lucky dog back. But it looks like that outside line, as strong as it is, just not able to make the momentum up to the lead pack right now. They can get there, but they just can't make the move and get the lead. So we'll have to see if that is able to happen as these drivers go around the one of Wise.
Yeah, we're going to go 3 wide here as Thomas Wise is going to stay to the outside. It's got a little bit tight there coming out of turn number 4. Really the tightest spot on the racetrack, and everyone doing a fantastic job to get around Thomas. Looks like someone checked up to just catch up to the back bumper of him and maybe see if they can help him get up to the racing speed here. That would be Billy Wise. Of course, those 2 Wise brothers or Wise drivers related. But nonetheless, up at the front, it seems like Fernando Matos has been able to clear the number 98 of Chris Roberge, and Fernando Matos has taken the race lead. He'll be your 3rd leader as we come back around, but Chris Roberge says not so fast. He's going to go up to the high side, and Dave Wilson's going to go with him. Those 2 teammates once again working together here early in the going around this famed racetrack.
And Peter, you know as well as anyone else, as well as me, having teammates at this type of a racetrack is the most invaluable thing you can have almost. You see how they're coordinating their moves together, right? You see right there, they both moved around the 17 of Matos, and they did it pretty much lockstep. So that is something that is so important to have at these type of racetracks. And of course, with the 98 and the 20, how good they work together, it really just helps. It helps manage these super speed races a lot more than if you were to have to race it without teammates.
Yeah, I said a little bit earlier, frenemies. Your teammates are your friends until the last lap, and then it's no holding back. But nonetheless, those 2 cars up front, Roberge in the 98 and Dave Wilson in the 20, working well together here in the early go. And there you see Fernando Matos. He's about a car length back, but he's using that draft to suck up to the back bumper of the number 20 as they go through the short shoot down up into turn number 1. And Cameron, one thing I kind of want to notice was just the pace difference between drivers like Brian Lowhead and Nate Catilla. They are currently about 3 seconds a lap slower than this lead pack, which is absolutely incredible. You know, this lap being 46 seconds longer, so that's about 15 laps that you can hang on for dear life until you end up a lap down.
Absolutely, and we saw how quickly the number 1 of Thomas Wise went a lap down, about 11 laps or so. So you know, they don't have a lot of time before they're going to get swallowed up by the pack themselves, and it would help if they were actually together drafting. But Nate Catilla has about 10 seconds on Brian Lowhead back to him, so you know, a lot of time there that you know, is not going to do themselves any favors. But still up at the front here, you see those 2 Looney's racing cars, Chris Roberge and Dave Wilson, still leading the pack, still in about a tandem draft themselves, with Fernando Matos tagging along, and then side by side behind them with Tom Johnson and Mark Dingman and a couple other cars behind them. So you know, this lead pack a little bit smaller than it could be if the other 2 cars were in it, but you know, still a pretty good draft, and still going green here.
Yeah, it's been fantastic to see all this green flag running. Of course, that could be the kiss of death here as we just now crossed the 20% mark in this race. So already setting a pretty good pace here. We're only 15 minutes in, and we've got 15 laps down, so these drivers definitely showing the way here at Daytona. Look at Fernando Matos. He's kind of peeking out. You see what that high line now, led by the 56 of Tom Johnson up there. Great to see him starting to make a move. He's got the number 13 of Alan Capers right behind him, and I've been watching the contact there on entry into the corner. Looks like Tom Johnson and Fernando Matos might have just nudged each other, but all is clean and green here. Looks like no damage on either of those cars. Definitely left a donut on the side of those cars, but now you see that number 56 hurting as every single driver who saw that happen checked up, expecting to see an accident, but nonetheless we're still green.
And you saw what that did to the pack. They were side by side before that. Now everybody has merged into a single file line all the way back. One of Thomas Wise, who is a lap down, of course, and right as I say that, they decide to go side by side once again and get a little bit racy. We might have 3 wide here. Ooh, Mark Dingman looking on Fernando Matos. Not enough room under his car to make the move without going below that yellow line. That's a no-no here at this racetrack. You cannot go below that double yellow line that is out of bounds. And everybody looks like they gathered themselves back up. That outside line now comprising of Billy Wise and Alan Capers. See if they can do anything. You know, Alan Capers is a pretty good drafter. He will push you all the way out to the lead and keep pushing you till, you know, really the race is over. He's a very loyal pusher. We've seen that in earlier restrictor plate races. So we'll see if Billy Wise can make a charge up to the front here. Fernando Matos doing what you said just a moment ago, Peter. He's peeking his nose out to see if he's kind of testing the water, seeing if he can get some help on that outside line, kind of just playing the lines here. Something that we always talk about at these types of racetracks. That's something you usually do when you're the leader. You play the lines. That means you take the outside line when it has a run, and you take their momentum away, and then you take the inside line, usually in the corners, and take their momentum away. It gives you a chance to keep the lead a little bit longer than you would normally. So I think that outside line, they have Tanner Sharp now, so they have a lot of momentum. Looks like they might have a charge up to the lead here in just a moment.
Brian Lowhead in the number 66, he was about 7 seconds away from going a lap down. He's now on pit road. And that number 66, I do see some right front damage, so I wonder if he caught the wall or something, but he's going to head down to his pit box. We'll see if he gets that repaired or not. He does indeed, from what I can see out here on the front stretch. But nonetheless, he will go 1 lap down. That will move Thomas Wise, or at least I should say Thomas Wise was in the lucky dog spot, and now he remains in the lucky dog spot at the tail end of this lead draft. Almost 3 wide there in the middle of the corner. Fernando Matos moved up just about half a lane, and Dingman kind of showed a nose underneath him, but nonetheless we stay 2 wide as we have a side-by-side battle for the race lead. I gotta say, Cameron, I've been really impressed with Billy Wise, and Billy led that lap by 22 1/1000ths of a second over the 98 of Roberge.
Yeah, and he's got a very good push from behind from both 13 of Alan Capers and Tanner Sharp. That outside line was very well formed up. Alan Capers was pretty much shoving Billy Wise all throughout turns 3 and 4 down the front stretch. So they got a lot of momentum, and looks like they have the 56 of Tom Johnson, who just ducks out and goes to the bottom side right now. Really, these 3 cars at the front on both lines, the top 6, are the only ones that are really formed up right now in a draft. So everybody else pretty well spaced out a little bit, not really looking to make a move right now. So inside line gets a little bit momentum now, and they are able to pull ahead of that outside line and regain the lead.
Yeah, but we'll have to see, because I think that they're kind of going to yo-yo back and forth here for the next couple laps, at least if they can stay side by side. That outside line is strong. You see Billy Wise, he's kind of ducking down just a little bit, see if he can get some side drafting. There's the number 4 of Nate Catilla, who is only about half a straightaway now from going a lap down, but he now has help from Brian Lowhead, who has already fallen 1 lap down. So maybe those 2 cars can stay together on the racetrack, work together, and kind of prevent themselves from falling down any more laps, as they are really banking on a caution here pretty soon. But Cameron, we said about 20 laps before people might start thinking about pitting. We've reached the lap 20 mark. I would think they can go a few more laps at least here around this racetrack before they have to think about pitting. But nonetheless, we've been green flag here in the early going.
Absolutely, yeah. Lap 20 was a mark I kind of learned in official racing. I'm not sure if they use a reduced fuel tank there. They might. I just haven't really paid attention, but I think, you know, at lap 20, that's kind of the mark where you really have to start kind of even if you have like 10 more laps to go on fuel or so, I think that's when you really need to start kind of getting yourself in position. We see most of the field single file right now. Actually, everybody in this lead draft is the outside line. Tanner Sharp moved himself to the inside line right behind the 56 of Tom Johnson, and the outside line pretty much died on the spot. And Billy Wise and Alan Capers both fell to the back. Actually, Alan Capers at the tail end of that lead pack right now, going around Thomas Wise. But really, it is lap 23. We still have plenty of racing left to go. We're going to say that a lot during this race because really. Some lap traffic up in front of these leaders. We'll see if they stay high on the racetrack. I believe they are, so everybody's just going to go low around them. But right now, not too much hesitation in most of this field to get to the front or do anything other than ride. So maybe we'll see these drivers just stay single file for a bit.
Yeah, we've seen a few bump drafts, but all these drivers have been watching that very carefully. I'm sure Jeff Schmidt has been keeping an eye on that as well. Very little bump drafting. That's good to see because it has definitely led to this green flag racing, which is what we want to see because caution laps here around Daytona are excruciatingly long. But these drivers pretty much single file, at least I say that. Tom Johnson in the 56 ducked out there for just a moment. He didn't get the look he was hoping for from Tanner Sharp, and he's going to duck back in. But here comes Tanner Sharp. No, ducks back in. You can tell Tanner's really looking to make a move here.
Yeah, Tanner's one of the most aggressive racers, probably in the SimPossible Racing League, and really, when I've raced him, he's a very, very aggressive racer all around. He will not stay back for very long. He really wants to get himself up to the lead and do whatever he can. So Tanner, you can always bet on him to be the one to pull out and try to make a move if no one else
contact! Does. The 99 Johnny Berardi, sorry to cut you off, but the 99 of Berardi has gone around in the front stretch. And some heavy damage to that machine. It's the first caution of the night. Alan Capers also getting a good chunk of damage from that one. But it looks like 2 cars involved. And we're under the caution flag. I do believe Nate Catilla will be your lucky dog, however. So he'll get back on the lead. Let's go back and see what happened on the replay here, Cam.
Yeah, we just got the tail end of it, but I'll have to go back and look myself. But it looks like... contact between the 99 and the 4, so maybe I don't think Nate Catilla is going to get the lucky dog because he was involved in the caution.
That is true. He was the first car 1 lap down, but that contact there with the number 99, that will invalidate him, I presume, from receiving that lucky dog. And you can see Nate was down below the yellow line, in the grass almost down there. And when he came back up the racetrack, the 99 was there. And that contact put the 99 in the wall. So luckily all these drivers do have fast repairs, so they'll be able to come back down. But a really impressive way to start the race. We got to the 1/3 distance essentially without seeing a caution flag, which is a great change from earlier in the season where we saw quite a few caution flags here at Daytona here in the B car series. But nonetheless, caution is out. That will reset the field, and I expect to see all these drivers on pit road.
Absolutely, and we're gonna be on board here in the wreck from the number 1 of Thomas Wise. See if he was able to avoid any contact. And I do believe he will. So I think he will be our lucky dog. So he's gonna get his lap back that he lost from missing the start. So good to see that. One thing I was going to say is the number 4, Nate Catilla, he actually does have a live spotter that we're going to tune into some point in this race. Later on, because his spotter is Wayne Lowe. We've listened to him before. He's a very good spotter, very detailed, actually painfully detailed. He really guides Nate's car around the track very well, kind of telling him where to go and telling him what to do. So we'll listen to him later on this race. But you see everybody on pit road right now. I can't imagine that all these drivers are going to be looking to take tires, or at least 4 tires, because you really don't need 4 tires at Daytona. It doesn't give you too much of an advantage. So I think we'll see a lot of 2-tire pit stops now.
Yeah, at least not on this version of Daytona. I can say it that the old version of Daytona, back before it was repaved and made nice and smooth, tires do matter there. But nonetheless, I believe you're right here, Cameron. But as you see, it looks like Dave Wilson will be the first car off pit road. Definitely he took 2 tires. A lot of these other guys, it looks like they're electing to take 4.
Yeah, and that's very interesting. I mean, if everybody takes 4 tires, then there's really no reason not to. But, Dave Wilson had the track position up at the front, and he just trying to make sure that he keeps it. But 4 tires obviously won't hurt. But At this track, it is nighttime and smooth, like you said. So really, tires not too much of an issue. You can really you can run a full race here at this version of Daytona with taking 2 tires each stop. So it's not going to matter too incredibly much. But looks like Mark Dingman off pit road second behind your leader of Dave Wilson. We had 1 car stay out. 6 Tom Johnson. We'll have to see how he is on fuel, but Tanner Sharp's still on pit road. I'm not sure what he's doing. Might have to go do something because we've all had situations like that where real life comes into play and you have to get up out of your seat and go tend to something. But hopefully he can get back out on the track before the pace car comes around because they are in turn 4 right now. So definitely don't want to lose a lap under caution.
Yeah, I got my eyes peeled on Tanner Sharp just to see. He's still sitting in his pit box. Pace car now coming into the trial is Tom Johnson and Nate Catilla now coming down pit road. Still no motion out of Tanner Sharp. So I do believe here that Tanner Sharp will fall. No, he's moving. He moved just about at the last second and will beat the pace car to the stripes. So Tanner Sharp does stay on the lead lap, and good to see that. I was a little bit concerned there that he was going to lose a lap, but nonetheless, he is down and away.
Yeah, the 56 of Tom Johnson also coming up pit road, so probably just staying out a lap to lead, lap and get the bonus points. So not a bad strategy at all. We see that most weeks here in SimPossible Racing League. A lot of drivers tend to stay out and lead their lap and come down on pit road and get their stuff all situated. But looks like the field has cycled through, and Dave Wilson up to the lead right now. Actually, quite a few cars ahead of his teammate right now. His teammate back in 4th position because he took 4 tires on the pit stop. So we'll see how those 2 drivers are able to get hooked up on this restart and get drafting help together.
Yeah, and let's kind of reset the field for you as they are out there right now. We still have a few drivers going through pit boxes, maybe thinking about fuel strategy at this point, but currently Dave Wilson is your race leader. Currently in 2nd is Mark Dingman. 3rd is Billy Wise. 4th, Fernando Matos. And 5th is Chris Roberge. We're hearing word that Tanner Sharp, the reason for the extra pit stop, and he's back on pit road once again, is he's having some communication issues and having to possibly change his communication set to hear properly. So that explains that, and he's still, well, it was on pit road, came down again, but he's back rolling now going into turn number 1.
And let's take a quick moment as we double up the field. We have a bit of driver biographies to go through. So let's go ahead and just look at a quick one for our 3rd place runner right now, Billy Wise. Hometown of Mio, Michigan. He's 43 years old, uses an adapted steering wheel with throttle and brake rings because he is a paraplegic. So, we know a lot about Billy. He loves to play guitar, and he sings for his band, the Wise Guys, which is also the name of his team in iRacing. And, good to see all of that. So Billy Wise having a good run right now in 3rd place. A very good driver in the SimPossible Race League. A bit of bad luck here and there. We've seen him involved in a lot of stuff that wasn't of his doing. Seems to happen to him more than some others. But when he doesn't get involved in stuff like that, definitely Billy is always one to look out for to get a good finish at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course, he's sitting 6th place in points coming into tonight's race, looking for a good finish. Currently sitting 3rd on the racetrack. He does have a 3rd place this season at Talladega, another super speedway, so we do know that Billy can get it done on these fast super speedways. So definitely keep an eye on that number 32 here tonight.
And we're doubled up for the restart, going through turns 3 and 4. Once again, working lap number 29. Going to start lap 30 as the pace car comes in. So this race almost at its halfway mark in just a couple laps after the restart. So really, it's gone by pretty quickly. And I think that we'll see the same thing we saw before, Peter. I think that this, excuse me, that was it was turn 3 and 4. My bad. I think we're going to see these drivers string out a little bit and just kind of ride around and do that and try to get the self-situation once again. But we are green flag once again. Looks like the outside line did not get a very good restart. The only driver to really stay with their starting position was the 48 of Mark Dingman, but that inside line has a lot of cars in it right now, 5 cars to 3. and those 3 cars not very well hooked up right now. So I think that 20, 32, and 98 are all going to get a bit of a gap on the field right now.
Yeah, without a doubt, that outside line didn't quite get going, but nonetheless, I gotta say, to his credit, Mark Dingman's credit, that outside spot, when you're restarting in second, it is the absolute hardest spot to restart in all of the field, because you're having to look left at the race leader to kind of find out when he's gonna go, and if it just doesn't quite, if you don't quite see where the leader goes, you can end up losing quite a few spots, as we see here. But Dave Wilson will come around and lead the first lap after going back to green flag race.
And you see right on the outside line of 98, Verge there once again. So you have to think that Dave Wilson probably thinking about going up there to help his teammate, but he can't go off the bottom line right now because there is not enough momentum on the outside line at the current moment to, for Dave Wilson to both keep the lead and help his teammate. So he's just going to stay put right on that bottom side, running right along that yellow line with help from Billy Wise, Tanner Sharp, Alan Capers, and now Tom Johnson. And, Chris Verge going to have to find another way to get back up there to help his teammate.
Yeah, but nonetheless, that inside line is nice and strong. Looks like maybe a little bit of bump drafting there going down the backstretch. But Billy Wise is tucked up right on the back bumper of Dave Wilson and Cameron. One thing that we're going to have to mention here is the number 20 and the number 98. Those two teammates are no longer hooked up nose to tail, as Billy Wise is just sniffing this race lead.
Yeah, absolutely. We had a bit of a juke for position back in the pack. The 6 of Tom Johnson had to get out of the gas, and the 98 Chris Verge almost got in the back of him. Lost a bit of momentum there. He's a couple car lengths behind Tom now, but they were able to keep off each other. That's just one of those situations, though, when you get in a situation like that where you get a run and you come up on the car in front of you very fast. Sometimes you just have to, kind of anticipate that happening. And you see Christopher Verge on the outside line right now. No help right now, but he might be able to get some from a car that pulls out. You see Alan Capers there pulling out to help him. So we'll see if they can do anything as we go into turn number 1.
Heading off into turn number 1, pretty much single file until the third row of cars. Here comes Alan Capers around the outside. We ride on board with Christopher Verge. I'm sure he's trying to get back up to the back bumper of his teammate Dave Wilson as they head out of turn number 2. Look at that push that number 98 is going to give to the back bumper of the number 13. They're side by side for the race lead. Here comes Alan Capers up to the lead as they enter turn number 3.
And the 2 purple cars right now side by side for the race league, Alan Capers and Dave Wilson. We'll see who is the winner off of turn number 4. I think that outside line has a lot of momentum right now from that push from Chris Verge. I think Alan Capers might have the lead line, and yes, indeed, he will. So give the lead to Alan Capers, and you got to think that Dave Wilson probably, not too worried about it right now, but he would probably rather his teammate be pushing him instead of a 13. But either way, I think Dave Wilson right now content to ride on that inside line no matter what happens on that outside line. But outside line, having 4 cars up there right now, a lot of momentum there. I think the inside line kind of dying off for a little bit, but here comes Christopher Verge pulling right from his teammate. We thought that might happen, so we'll see if Christopher Verge can take the lead back here into turn number 3.
Yeah, and I kind of expected it as soon as Verge got to Dave Wilson, if there was going to be an opening, that those two would line up back together. And here they are once again with the 98 over Verge now being pushed to the race lead by his teammate Dave Wilson. So good move there by Verge to get back to the lead. But we saw this for the first 25 laps or so before that first caution, that these two teammates just lockstep up at the front, working together, leading this event. And really it's going to have to be the rest of the field going to have to work together to see if they can break up this 2-car tandem up at the front.
And you got to think that maybe those 3 Chevys right behind them, Billy Wise, Alan Capers, and Tanner Sharp, maybe they're going to have to hook up themselves and work together to get around those 2 Looney's Racing Toyotas, because we've seen throughout this race so far, almost come up to halfway, that those two drivers are not going to be so ready to unhook themselves and race for the lead until probably the last few laps of the race. So it's going to be pretty much the rest of the field against them.
Yeah, only time will tell. There's still plenty of time left, though, in this race, because we're only just now on lap number 35. Of course, we're about 3 laps away, though, from the halfway mark as they head down the backstretch here. But so far, Roberge and Wilson have led the most laps in this race, with Billy Wise, he's trying to get on that leaderboard total, but here comes Tanner Sharp to his inside. Tanner Sharp's kind of been quiet here for the past 10 laps or so since going green, but he slowly snuck his way up into the 3rd position, right up on the back bumper of Dave Wilson. You saw that he had to roll out of the throttle there just before going into the tri-oval as to not bump that number 20 machine. It's really, really sketchy if you bump draft through the tri-oval. You can definitely upset the other cars around you, as we saw that contact causing the first caution of the race in the tri-oval between Nate Catilla and who was it else? That was the... I've already forgotten. No, it was the 99 of Johnny Berardi who got together. But nonetheless, speaking of Tanner Sharp, he's not being quiet anymore. He's going to try and make a move here on the high side going through turns number 3 and 4. He's got some help from Billy Wise, but that outside line just doesn't seem to have the steam right now. The 3rd car in line up there, Alan Capers, is probably about a car length or so between himself and Billy Wise, and being that far apart, you're just not going to be quite able to get the run you're going to lead. In fact, Capers is going to duck back down to the bottom. No, he's going to stay on the high side. No, he's going to kind of be in the middle. It's hard to call.
Yeah, I saw Tanner Sharp kind of inching himself out to the outside line when both Capers and Wise were on his outside, but of course you can't do anything with those cars there. But as soon as he got clear, he decided to pull up in front of Billy Wise there and get that push from him. But it just doesn't look like they have the speed right now to be able to make anything happen, like you said, Peter. And that outside line kind of stalled out at 3rd or 4th place. Maybe the 48 of Mark Dingman might elect to help that outside line pull out in front of Tanner Sharp and get some steam up there. But as I say that, they got a pretty good push right now. They've inched ahead of Dingman and right at the rear quarter panel of the 20 car. So we'll see going into turn 1 if they can keep that momentum.
Yeah, just as that outside line started to fall back, they're coming back with a full head of steam, trying to get this race lead from Roberge. Just not quite able to do so yet. I do want to also mention the one of Thomas Wise has lost the lead draft. He's currently running in the 12th position. He's about a half a lap behind the race leader, so another tough break for him to lose that draft. He's trying to stay only 1 lap down, but there is a good battle for the lucky dog between Nate Catilla and Brian Lowhead. The 4 and the 66 racing it out for that lucky dog position there a little bit further back as they're ahead of them. The outside line has stalled out once more, but as I say that, Mark Dingman, he's going to try and mount a charge and try and break up this 2-car tandem up to the front.
Yeah, so we got 3 Chevys on the outside line right now. Sorry, words are hard. We've got Dingman, Sharp, and Wise. See if they can hook themselves up pretty stoutly. They do have a good run down the backstretch. Dingman has made his way up to the side door of Christopher Burgess' car into turn number 3, but once he gets to the corner, that inside line just is always going to be a little bit stronger. There was some trouble for Fernando Matos further on the back. Looks like he got a little bit out of shape, but was able to keep it straight and not going to have a wreck out of that, so it's good to see. But the battle for lead still going strong. Dingman and Roberge side by side with help from Dave Wilson and Tanner Sharp, respectively. It looks like they look like they're pacing at 195 miles an hour right now for those front 2 rows. That bottom side has the help of Billy Wise and Tom Johnson, so of course they're going to be a little bit stronger. But down the backstretch, Dingman's actually pulled ahead of Chris Roberge by a full car length right now. So we'll see if he decides to cut Tanner Sharp and move low into turn number 3. No, he does not. He's going to play the loyal drafting partner and stay up there with Tanner Sharp. Good to see that. That might play well for him later on in the race when the battle closer to the battle for win. I think Tanner Sharp might be a little bit more aching to help the 48 of Dingman after that move right there. But definitely looks like both drivers about to pull in front of the 98 of Christopher Burge right now. You see Tanner Sharp pull right in front of the 98. Ooh, not clear there. Tanner Sharp was not totally clear, and he, big wreck. A lot of cars sideways, upside down. Nate Catilla involved. Looks like Billy Wise involved, and that was a pretty big mess right there, Peter.
Yeah, the door wasn't quite open. It was still just partially shut for that number 3 of Tanner Sharp, and then contact was on from there, and there was some wild rides. Tom Johnson, one of those drivers, going up and over end over end barrel rolls in that number 56. But that number 3 of Tanner Sharp, I believe that engine is toast. Well, as I say that, he's gotten that thing fired back up, so it looks like every car will make it back to pit road, but a lot of cars receiving damage there.
Yeah, even the front two cars of Roberge and Wilson were damaged in that. I see a lot of rear end damage on Chris's car as well as a little bit on Dave's car. So we'll go on board right here from Billy Wise, see what he saw in the wall there. Then you see cars, then you see absolute chaos, the car flipping over and over and over. And thankfully landed on its wheels. I think he was able to get going under power, so good to see that he did not have to take a tow there. I think somebody might have had to take a tow in that wreck. See anybody on pit road that is sitting there. Which I don't see anyone that had to tow out of that wreck, so if that was the case, that's really the best case scenario. But you know, a lot of cars damaged. They're gonna have to take fast repairs nonetheless.
Yeah, and I believe Nate Catilla, who was in the Lucky Dogs, also got a piece of it. So with Nate Catilla receiving that little bit of damage, that will unfortunately invalidate himself from the Lucky Dog. And you know what? That's just a tough break for him because he was trying to get back on the lead lap. He was so close to getting his lap back earlier in the race, but nonetheless, that's going to be a tough one. Looks like Tom Johnson in the 56. He's trying to make his way back to his pit stall, but nonetheless, pace car is going through the tri-oval. That 56, no power. He's going down pit road at 16 miles an hour, and I think he might just get to his pit stall, but he will lose a lap in this one. And I gotta say, that's probably better than taking a tow. But I don't know, as I say, that number 56 is grinding to a halt. Oh, he's getting a push from Mark Dingman. Dingman's going to push him into his pit stall. That's some good sportsmanship by Mark Dingman to help the stricken number 56 into his box. So hopefully he'll be able to get that damage repaired in the 56 without having to take a tow. Although he is on his in his pit box, so if he does take a tow, it's going to be a short one. At least you hope. As driver's already coming off pit road. Looks like Tanner Sharp is already off pit road. Dave Wilson, of course, first car off pit road. So a couple of drivers already out there and down and away.
Yeah, and the 56 did actually have to take a tow because he pulled into his box a little bit off kilter. That right rear tire was not quite where it needed to be. So I'm sure iRacing was saying too far right, too far forward, too far back, something like that. And but the tow, like you said, only about 10 seconds because he was in his box. So he's got his car already fixed up, taking tires and fuel, and going to be able to get back out there and get going once again.
Yeah, he will lose one lap. He'll join some of the other drivers already one lap down. It does look like Nate Catilla is staying out here. Not quite sure if he's going to take the wave around here and see if he'll get on the lead lap that way. That might be a pretty good call because he pitted not too long ago. He might be good on fuel here to the end, Cameron. Now we're past the halfway mark. So if that is the case, Nate Catilla is making a good move. Tanner Sharp coming back down pit road, and the number 3, he maybe that number 4 isn't good on fuel. Maybe Tanner Sharp here is making a call to come down pit road, get some more fuel, just in case we have a fuel mileage race.
And you definitely have to think about green-white checkers here too, especially at Daytona, where you can possibly go about 15, 20 miles past your intended distance. So it's something that's going to be on all these drivers' minds, those green-white checkers at the end of the race, and definitely have a good chance of seeing those if things get wild. So Tanner Sharp making the right move, I think. That's going to be a move that definitely plays off a little later in this race.
Yeah, only time will tell. But yeah, I kind of agree. You know, the way this race has gone, we've only had 2 cautions here. We're over halfway. There's a possibility that we could go caution-free to the end. So I think it is a good move by Tanner to make that move.
And I want to give a quick shout out to our chatters in the YouTube chat right now. Nonstop got Kyle Zimmer, who unfortunately did not get to race tonight. Will Wursler, a driver in another league that we broadcast here on 3Y TV, as well as Wesley Lee, big Alan Capers fan. Wesley, you come out each and every week, support Alan Capers. Good to see that, and hope you all are doing fantastic tonight. We have a very good race for you here at Daytona. Only 2 cautions so far, so hopefully we can keep that pace up and keep it green and clean and I guess, lean, whatever that means. But you know, pretty good race at Daytona. If you've seen any of the official races this week, this definitely is a lot better than any of those you're going to see, because those have been absolute wreckfests, and I definitely do not want to put myself in any of that, any of that mess. So good to see some actual good, clean racing here at this track.
Yeah, definitely the case, as we have reached the halfway mark. In this one, we're well past halfway now, as these drivers are now getting the 1 to green. Indeed, Nate Catilla will take the waiver round, so he'll be back on the lead lap, electing not to pit under this caution. He's hoping to see another caution. I don't think he'll be able to make it on fuel, especially with the way that most of the field came down pit road here under this caution, but I think it's a good move, especially if he gets another caution.
Yeah, and one thing we kind of talked about earlier, and one thing I was actually wondering about myself, you see the 4 of Nate Catilla right now coming around the field to get caught up and get himself back in position to take the green flag with the pack. Peter, what do you say we go listen in on their communications for a couple laps of this restart with his spotter of Wayne Lowe?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, we're like 23 seconds back. 22, 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16 still, 15 seconds, 14, keep in it, stay in it, 12, 11, 10, 9 seconds still, 8, 7, 6, 5 seconds, 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds. Green, go to the top, go to the top, go to the top, go to the top, go to the top. Stay high, go way high, way high, way high. All right. Clear low, clear low, clear low, clear, 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 clear. 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 He's down there, okay, clear. Bottom line, stack it up. Why don't we go high, go high, go high. We're 56 with you, 56 with you, 32 inside. 32 inside, you're stuck far, clear low, clear low, clear low, clear low, clear low. 3 inside corner, or fender. 3 inside fender, 56 with you. Got a car length back though, not right on you. You're side by side with the 3. Side by side with the 3 still. Clear low, bottom has momentum, bottom has momentum. 13 outside, stay with the 3. They're wrecking, stay, hold your line, hold your, We got the caution we needed, good enough.
And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. You were on board with Nate Catilla, hearing his spotter call that accident as that number 4 unfortunately got a piece of it. But going back and watching the replay there, a little bit of contact, just a few cars in front. Doesn't look like anyone got too excessively damaged there, but nonetheless, caution back in the air.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the car that we were on board with, Nate Catilla, getting a little bit of damage in the rear end from some netcode. There was actually no real contact there, but that rear end a little bit off kilter right now. We'll see how much that's able to affect him. If he decides to take a fast repair or not, I'd probably just go ahead and fix it up and save those fast repairs, because he's already taken at least 1, I have to believe. So, really for the end of this race, you want to have as many as you can. We see the 3 of Tanner Sharp having a bit of damage there as well. That front end really not looking like it should anymore. We've seen Tanner Sharp race with beat up cars, electing not to take fast repairs before, so we'll see if he actually does that now or not.
Yeah, I do expect to see a couple of cars here using that fast repair. Tanner Sharp, one of those. Nate Catilla, another. Johnny Berardi, Billy Wise, Brian Lowhead, Tom Johnson, Alan Capers, Thomas Wise, and Fernando Matos all receiving damage in that one. Really, you could say Fernando Matos probably got the most damage out of it all in that number 17 machine.
Yeah, I see some activity here on the on pit road. One thing you heard from Wayne Lowe, the spotter of the 4 of Nate Catilla, saying that we got our caution. You actually noticed he did take the wave around last caution, and we had a question whether he was going to be good on fuel, but it's not an issue right now because he is on the lead lap and on the same strategy as everyone else right now. So we'll see everybody on pit road come off. Looks like all the leaders at the front decided to stay out. Of course, those 2 Looney's racing cars, Roberge and Wilson, electing to keep themselves on the racetrack, keep that track position. Not a bad move right there. Mark Dingman in third, having a pretty good run himself. Kind of been low-key, been up there right at the middle to end of the top 5 pretty much all night long, running about 3rd to 5th. Hasn't really been able to get himself up to the lead yet, I don't believe, but definitely keeping himself in the mix, followed by Billy Wise and Billy Wise and Tanner Sharp. Now Tanner Sharp electing not to come down pit road and fix that. Actually, yes, he was. I was mistaken there. So that's your top 5 currently, but I think that Nate Catilla will be your 5th place driver now after the pit stops. But we'll go ahead and get a word with the 98 of Chris Roberge real quick. We'll see if we can dial up team communications with him. Chris Roberge, this is the booth up in the booth. We are the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
All right, man. Well, it looks pretty good for you out there right now. You got your teammate right behind you. You two have been working lockstep, steady and ready all race, doing a very good job with the coordination of the moves and everything. Just kind of tell us how the race has kind of gone from your perspective so far.
Yeah, the race is really well. Just gotta try and keep it cool here. Doing too much bumping and we could wreck or get overheated if we get too close for so long. All you gotta do is just try to race what you can get.
Now, are you and your teammate Dave Wilson? Are you kind of just thinking about just kind of working with each other until the later stages of this race, or is it just kind of go from here on out?
We are just good. We're teammates, so we just do what we can do the best. If he has a good run on me and win, that's fine with me. If he can't really get to me, well, it's okay. Him and I can push for me to win if we can.
All right, Chris. Well, we'll let you get back to doing that. And, thank you very much for talking with us, and good luck the rest of this race. About 25 to go, so I think time to pull those belts tight and go get her.
Oh, I will. Thanks.
All right, well, you heard from Chris Roberge. Not too much out of him, just kind of saying we're going to do our own thing. If he's got to run on me, go ahead and make the move. If I got to run on him, we'll make the move, but we'll continue working with each other. And definitely, Peter, I think that's, when we used to race together on these plate tracks, I think that's kind of how we did it, just kind of, run our own race and not really worry too much about anyone else.
Yeah, that's essentially what you have to do. Just run your own race. You just have to get to the final 5 laps and be with a shot in those final 5 laps, because if you don't make it to that end of the race and you don't put yourself in a position to win, it can be really difficult to try and haul yourself up to the front, especially with everyone else trying to make moves there right at the end. But the 20 and the 98, those 2 drivers have definitely been able to put themselves up near the front during this race and have definitely shown their muscle as pace car lights are off. And we're going to get set to go back to green flag racing here in just about a lap. Look at Alan Capers back there in the back of the field. Looks like he's already raring to go. Haven't seen any deaths of any cones just yet. We'll see if he kills a cone here coming out of turn number 2 on this lap. But I remember back, I think it was at Talladega, Cameron, that we saw that cone on the backstretch die like every other lap off the nose of that number 13 machine. But we did get a quick glimpse there, Tanner Sharp on pit road.
Yeah, I think he's really just trying to make sure that he's absolutely good on fuel to the end. Of course, putting fuel in a car at a super speedway actually can be a bit of an aerodynamic advantage. I'm not sure if it's actually modeled here in the sim as well as it should, but when you can get some more weight in that rear end, it pulls it down a little bit, gets that spoiler out of the air, and can make your car a little bit faster. So, I've always thought about that when I've raced, just kind of keep that car as filled up as much as you can at these tracks, and maybe iRacing will do right, maybe it won't, but either way, just Probably just making sure he's absolutely good to the end, no questions asked.
Yep, but we'll see the pace car come off this time. Gonna get set to go back to green. We will have about a 25, well, exactly a 25 lap shootout once we go back to green flag racing. Thereabouts, 24 lap shootout, I should say. As pace car has come down pit road, green flag in the flagman's hand. And there it is, green flag back in the air at Daytona. The inside line got a fantastic start, but I think that number 20 worked with the number 98 to kind of time that restart just a little bit, because Wilson also got a good restart to the outside. But here comes Mark Dingman with help from Nate Catilla, who's back on the lead lap. We were riding on board with Nate Catilla just a few laps ago when he was involved in the accident. But here he comes into the top 5. Great to see Catilla up there for the first time in the top 5 tonight.
And what I actually noticed with those two Looney's cars of Wilson and Roberge, Wilson started a little bit behind Chris, and as the green flag flew, it looked like he was going to pull right down behind Chris, but Mark Dingman forced his nose up in there and did not allow that to happen. But you see Roberge pulled on the outside line to try to help his teammate right there, get himself around the 48 of Mark Dingman. Mark Dingman kind of acting as the thorn in those two cars' side right now. He kind of fooled their plans twice. Looks like that outside line has a lot of cars right now. It's got a lot of momentum. Of course, those two teammates, as well as Billy Wise, Brian Lowhead, Alan Capers, and Tanner Sharp, all up there. I believe they're going to pull themselves ahead a little bit into turn number 1, and yes, they do. Chris Roberge can pull down on the inside line if he wanted to, but that would entail cutting his teammate, and I don't think he's going to do that at this point in the race. They're just going to kind of push each other out front. But one thing we did see at Daytona early on this year is those two teammates actually get into each other by pushing a little bit too much and spinning each other out. So we'll have to see if they don't do that. Actually, Chris Roberge, as I say it, cuts his teammate off and pulls himself down to the inside line. So thinking of himself right now, pulling down in front of that 40 of Dingman and trying to kind of keep himself up the lead. But as we say that, look at him go right up back the outside line, playing those lines as we said earlier in the race. He's trying to just keep himself in the line with the most momentum, and that's the kind of a trademark of a very good super speedway driver. Definitely Chris knows what he's doing here.
Yeah, of course, Roberge got that win earlier this season, back when we were at Daytona to start this season, back quite a few months ago in February. But here comes Mark Dingman now, because Dingman got a good run coming out of turn number 2. He's had help from Nate Catilla there, side by side now for the race lead as they head off into turn number 3 at the number 48 machine of Dingman just getting out front there, coming out of turn number 4. So Dingman and Catilla now 1-2 is that outside line trying to fight back with all that momentum that they gained up there. And you see Catilla just possibly trying to get some air on the nose there. These cars do have a tendency to overheat if you stay locked up behind the back bumper. Ooh, a little bit squirrely there going into the corner. Maybe a little bit of a nudge on the back bumper of Dingman, and that upset that 48. Everyone checked up. Great not to cause an accident there. You see Billy Wise. He's had to check up on the back bumper of the number 4. That's all of a sudden broken up the inside line just a little bit, and it's allowed the outside line of Wilson and Roberge to pull ahead once more. But you see Roberge once again ducks down to the inside line, leaves his teammate Dave Wilson out high and dry on the high side with help from Brian Lowhead behind him.
I believe that was the first bumper hook of the race we saw. Thankfully did not result in a wreck. We saw the 66 of Brian Lowhead a little bit further back, almost get in trouble there, but was able to keep it straight. But I think we're at 20 laps to go right now, so that really 20 laps to go at a super speedway is the time where you really have to start thinking about getting yourself in position to win. That's really where you need to start making your moves, getting yourself up to the front and get yourself ready to make those moves. You see the 20 of Wilson now helping the 40 of Dingman. He has pulled himself ahead of the 98 of Roberge. He's going to pull himself down to the inside of turn number 3. Cut Dave Wilson once again. Ooh, trouble! 66 in the wall hard. And we're going to have a caution once again, I believe. Not yet. I think that race control might throw one here in just a moment. But the 66 of Brian Lowhead, as well as the 13 of Alan Capers, well off the pace. We'll see what happened here. I believe there might have been some bumper hook. We'll see on the replay. See right there, looks like just a little bit of contact with the 4 of Nate Catilla, and still no caution yet. So I believe that if there's no caution, that 66 Brian Lowhead is pretty much going to be out of this the running of this race, because the car is heavily damaged. He's going to have to lose a few laps fixing it, or coming down to get that fast repair and fixing it, because it is only running about 140 miles an hour right now, so very well off the pace.
Yeah, that's a tough break for Brian Lowhead and also Alan Capers, because Capers is well off the pace too, running about 160 miles an hour. He's about 20 miles per hour off the pace of even the cars without the draft that have no damage. So that's a definitely hard hit on that machine. I expect to see him on pit road here this time by, uncheck his tires. Won't expect to see any fuel going in that machine, but definitely a fast repair. But back up at the front, it is still the Chris Roberge show, but here comes Tanner Sharp. Has yet to lead a lap today in that number 3 machine, but he is side by side for the race lead as we have a caution out on the speedway. Looks like the admins have reviewed that accident and has deemed it worthy of a caution flag. So the yellow flag does fly here at Daytona.
Yeah, that's something that I kind of expected a little bit late on that, but either way, the caution is out, and that's going to be a good break for both Lowhead and Capers. They were both well off the pace, and probably admin just thinking that should have been a caution anyway. I think it should have been as well from iRacing, but it wasn't, and either way, caution out once again. We have about, I believe, 17 laps to go or so?
Indeed.
So definitely down the later stage of this race, and really, you see the intensity picking up a little bit, Peter. You see these drivers making a little bit more aggressive moves, a little bit more trying to get themselves in that position to win the race later on, and get themselves, try to get themselves where they need to be on the racetrack.
Yeah, like you said, Cameron, 20 laps go is really the time where the wick starts to turn up. And
we had some issues under caution.
That's what I was just about to say, as I saw that there on the screen. A puff of smoke coming out of some of the drivers here on the backstretch, and it's pretty easy, Cameron, to lock up your brakes with the Super Speedway brakes package, and I wonder if that's what we saw there as the field bunched up behind the Ford Mustang pace car here under this caution flag. And be interesting to see if we have any takers on pit road this time. I expect to see these drivers have enough fuel, but maybe 2 tires here?
You know, it's kind of a hard call. I would probably say that if the leaders come in, then you probably should as well, just to, well, looks like everybody's listening to the broadcast or something and going against me, but I there's really no harm in coming down pit road right now. Only about 9 cars on the lead lap at the moment, and of course the worst you'll start is 9th unless you speed down pit road, then you'll be like 12th or whatever. So I would say, with the smaller field we have at this race, yeah, it's really not something that would absolutely kill you, but definitely if you have like 40 cars on the racetrack, you really need to keep your track position at this stage in the race.
Do want to make mention that Tom Johnson, the number 56, you saw him flash by the car here. He's going to be your lucky dog. He's going to be back on the lead lap. So Tom Johnson, we saw him probably about 20 laps ago or so come up just a little bit short on his way back to pit road, but he's going to be back on the lead lap, and we'll have a shot at the win, as I believe Cameron Rich has caught up with one of the drivers.
Yeah, I got him right here. Mark Dingman, this is the 3-Wide TV booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you. How's it going, guys?
It's going pretty well. Looks like it's going pretty well for you as well. You've been solidly up in the top 5 just about all race, running about 2nd to 5th, it looks like, and not really able to get up there and challenge that juggernaut of the Looney's cars of Roberge and Wilson yet, but they look like they are split apart right now. So what are you thinking at this point in the race? Coming down to about 15 laps to go, we're going to have about 13 to go at the restart, whatever. What's your plan to win this race?
Honestly, I'm just here to race and have fun. Winning is winning. Just a great group of guys to race with, and that's all I look forward to.
Well, you've had a very good run so far, keeping yourself in contention all race. I think you do have a pretty good shot at doing just that, and that's taking home the trophy here at Daytona. But really, how's the race been from your perspective? Just how has it kind of progressed from your point of view?
It's been good, just keeping the nose clean on it. Haven't touched any fast repairs yet, so kind of saving those for the end because I know they do green-white checkers now, so might be a long end of the race here.
All right, Mark. Well, thank you very much for talking with us. Good luck the rest of this race. Definitely pull those belts tight because it's going to be a wild one, and hope to talk to you again at the end of the race, bud.
Definitely. Have a good one. Thanks for broadcasting.
All right, pretty straightforward answer from him. Just gonna do his thing, and he's saying he's out here to have fun and do his thing, but definitely wants to win the race as well. But I think Peter Short is gonna talk to Tanner Sharp for a moment.
I have caught up with Tanner Sharp. At least he's on the racetrack. I'd have to run pretty fast to catch up with him out there. But nonetheless, Tanner Sharp, you got a copy, bud?
Yes, sir.
All right, man. How are you going to break up that two-car tandem between the number 98 and the number 20?
Doing what we're doing. That's been my goal for a little while now. Just gotta everybody else to work together. It just seems like we can get that outside lane going, but we're overheating too fast. So, yeah, we definitely gotta break up this 2098 group. At one time, it kind of got irritated. No disrespect to those two guys. They're doing a hell of a job out there working together and controlling this race. So, kudos to those guys. But yeah, we're gonna do our best here to break these guys up here. So, I don't know. You ask what I'm gonna do. You can plan things until they drop the green flag, if that makes any sense to you guys.
That is the way restrictor plate racing goes. But before we let you go, because we do have the one to go, you did mention that you're seeing some overheating in the car. How long can you really push for until those gauges start to go red?
A little bit less than a lap, depending upon how hard you're pushing. You have to let off, and then the engine cools down, but you're still to about 240 degrees. I got almost to 300 degrees in this race already, and that almost blew it, and I was in the middle of the pack, so I had to get the heck out of there to cool it down. So we've learned this race on how to conserve a little bit, so we're going to keep that in mind right now for this restart here. Just gotta play it cool here and mind our stuff.
All right, definitely interesting to hear that. That's definitely something the drivers are going to be mindful of going forward here. But Tanner, just got to wish you good luck here in these final few laps, getting a position, and maybe we'll get to talk to you a little bit later in victory lane.
Yeah, maybe we get 5 in a row. We'll see. We're in position to do so. Circumstances are going to dictate the outcome.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, that is Tanner Sharp, driver of the number 3 machine. Hopefully we get to talk to him here in just a little bit. But Cameron, that's pretty interesting, though, to hear that he can't even really push from more than a single lap without that machine overheating.
Yeah, that is a little bit crazy to me, because I was practicing with these guys earlier, and it did go about 2 laps before it started overheating. So maybe the cooler track temps are allowing these guys to draft up and stay together a little bit better than they were in practice, and it's kind of keeping the revs a little bit higher and all that stuff. So just little things like that might be affecting how these cars are able to draft. But the green flag out once again. Tanner Sharp right tucked up behind that 98 of Chris Verge. We'll see how long he's able to stay there. He says it can't be over a lap, so definitely only about 13 laps to go on the racetrack right now. So it is absolutely go time for all of these drivers at the front. We have Chris Verge and Tanner Sharp and Mark Dingman and Dave Wilson on the high side. It looks like the inside line has a couple more cars on it than the outside line. Of course, outside line right now, only Dingman and Wilson, and Billy Wise helping that inside line. So it's definitely going to be a game of numbers here till the end. See what line can get the most cars in it, and it's definitely that 20 car of Wilson probably going to be looking back to get with his teammate of Christopher Burge. But Tanner Sharp ducks out of the inside line, goes up to the nose of the 48 of Mark Dingman, seeing if he can take that draft away and make him move around Christopher Burge. I think he's going to do it here in turn number 1. Hasn't quite cleared yet, and I don't think he's going to do it until he gets to turn number 3 if he can keep that momentum up. But definitely a very aggressive move at this stage in the race, and definitely that is when you need to start making those moves.
Yeah, and I thought it was a really good move there, because Mark Dingman had clean air on his nose for more than a lap, so he will be able to push that number 3 of Tanner Sharp here quite heavily for about a lap or so, I guess, before his car starts to overheat. But nonetheless, that inside line still holding tough with the 98 of Roberge and Billy Wise there to the inside of Tanner Sharp. We're now 2 by 2 for the first 10 cars.
And here, I think the inside, or I think outside line, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen in turn number 1. They have a very good run into turn number 1, but I don't think they quite have enough right there, and no, they don't. So it was about even there. We have one car on the wall. Brian Lowhead stays well out of the way. No caution for him, but we had about 5 cars on each line there for a moment, so it was quite even. But now it's about 6-3 in favor of the inside line. So Tanner Sharp going to be climbing an uphill mountain, trying to get that momentum on the outside, but doing a very good job keeping it up with the help from Mark Dingman and Dave Wilson. Inside line not quite formed up very well. It's only Roberge, Billy Wise, and then a couple car lines back to Nate Catilla. So maybe here in a turn number 1, maybe Sharp will be able to make the move.
Yeah, and look at that. That inside line just broke up all of a sudden. That's going to give that outside line a huge run. But the third car on the outside line, Dave Wilson, he ducked in behind Billy Wise in the number 32 machine, possibly to help his teammate Chris Roberge up front. And now that's going to take all the momentum away from the high side, as here comes the inside groove. Looks like Billy Wise almost cleared Tanner Sharp coming off the corner, but the number 48 of Dingman is locked to the back bumper of Tanner Sharp, and they're making a huge move down the backstretch.
And now they have help from the 17 of Fernando Matos, that Ford behind them, helping those 2 Chevrolets in front, trying to defeat the 2 Toyotas up there of Roberge and Wilson. So a bit of manufacturer battle here, of course, played out entirely by me, but I'm going to go ahead and run with it anyway. But look at the run that the outside line has. Tanner Sharp pulled almost even with Chris Roberge, but just not enough momentum to make that final push past. And I think Nate Catilla right there has pulled himself up to the outside line, then back to the inside line. So he decided he doesn't want to help those 3 cars on the outside. Fernando Matos not quite close enough to Mark Dingman to help those 2 in front very effectively right now. We'll see if he can get up there and do something. But look, Tanner Sharp has pulled even with Chris Roberge into turn number 3. We'll see if he can make the move. I think if he clears Roberge, he's going to pull right down in front of him. We've seen that already. It did cause a wreck because he wasn't quite clear, but no, not quite clear once again, and even less clear than he was then. So just, it's you can see how frustrating it is as a driver trying to get that move made when you can't do it.
And one thing I haven't seen much of at this moment in time is side drafting. Really, side drafting is the only thing more that Tanner Sharp can do. He's got his foot flat here around this racetrack. He's got that help from Mark Dingman. But as these laps continue to wind down, as we are under 10 laps to go, you'll start to see that outside line pinch that inside line down the backstretch. Use that side drafting to get a little bit extra speed off into turn number 3 and into turn number 1.
About 5 cars on the outside line right now, 4 on the inside line. The key player in this is going to be Alan Capers. He was the last car in line, deciding who he wants to go with, and now he's with the bottom. So that's 5 on the bottom, 4 on the top. So not an even number of cars. So this fight is always going to be lopsided in favor of one line, but that outside line still not going away anywhere. Tanner Sharp still with the 98 of Chris Roberge. Those 2 cars of Sharp and Dingman are doing an incredible job pushing each other and trying to do something with that 98 of Chris Roberge, who has led the most laps this race. He's kind of been the Pied Piper, as we say at Daytona back in the day with those DEI cars. He's led most of this race, been kind of the driver out front for most of the time. But Billy Wise, a bit of an offset draft there. Got to be careful with that into turn number 3. Don't want to turn into the 98, and thankfully backed off a little bit, so there was no issues there.
Yeah, man, I gotta say, it's just ebbs and flows for that outside line. All of a sudden, they got a huge run there. They'll be able to pull up alongside the number 98. And then all of a sudden, they drop back about a car length or so. And here they come once more to try and rule or recharge. A little bit of a nudge from 48 of Mark Dingman on entry into turn number 1. That upset the rear of that number 3 machine. It looks like that outside line is suffering because of it, as Billy Wise has been able to clear Tanner Sharp. We'll have to see if Billy Wise decides to jump to that high side or not. I don't think he will, Cameron, because right behind the number 32 is the number 20 of Dave Wilson, and if Dave Wilson gets it his way, he will be right behind that number 98 of Chris Roberge's teammate.
It looked like he was thinking about it though, off of number 4, but did not make the move. I think here comes the outside line once again. Tanner Sharp and Mark Dingman, they have a pretty good run. Oof, trouble for Alan Capers. He's way off the track on the apron, but does not hit anything, able to save the car. So kind of running the Kyle Busch line down there where he had his accident a few years ago, but now that they paved it, that's not always going to be an accident anymore, and a good save for Capers. But here comes the outside line. Tanner Sharp has the best run he's had in a while with that push from the 48. I think he might be able to clear the 98 into turn number 3. Not quite. So you can just see that outside line somehow, it's a bit of a bump from the 48 of Dingman in the middle of the corner. It looked like it upset the 3 a little bit, but they still have a pretty good run on that outside. Just you can tell that those two drivers are doing all they can to try to make something happen, because we are inside 5 laps to go, and definitely, absolutely, positively go time for everyone right now.
10 miles left around this 2.5-mile raceway, as I expect to start to see more and more side drafting down the backstretch area. You see Dingman, he moved down about half a lane. You see Tanner Sharp, he's moving down half a lane, just trying to get that side draft off of the cars next to you. And you see that's going to pull the number 3 of Tanner Sharp alongside with Billy Wise. Billy Wise getting a little bit squirrely there in the middle of the corner. I think he might have clipped the apron, shot that number 32 up about half a lane. But that inside line still holding strong, but not as strong as the outside line of Tanner Sharp and Dingman. Those two are glued together coming through the tri-oval. 3 laps to go.
And remember, Billy Wise and Chris Burge, those are your 2 restrict plate winners this season. Of course, Billy Wise getting the win in the K&N cars at Daytona. Burge winning at Daytona in the B car earlier in this year. So really, those 2 drivers at the front, no surprise whatsoever. Tanner Sharp, a very good driver in his own right at these types of tracks, being in 3rd, not a surprise either. So really, you're seeing the cream of the crop rise up to the end of this race, and definitely going to be a fight to the end.
But don't count out drivers like Fernando Matos and Tom Johnson. They still have plenty of time left to make a move. Keep an eye on that number 56 down there on the inside. He's trying to close up to the back bumper. As we see Billy Wise down below the apron there just for a brief moment. We have 2 laps to go.
Yeah, and once that white flag is displayed, if they can make it around one more time, this race is going to be official no matter what happens. So I think Christopher Burge absolutely wants to see that white flag more than anything else right now. It looks like that outside line a little bit weaker than it's been in a while. They don't really have a run right now. We'll see if they can get it halfway down the backstretch, but I don't think it's going to be enough of a run to make anything happen. But as I say that, they have a pretty good one into turn number 3. I don't think it's going to net anything at the moment, but it's all going to matter, or it's all going to come down to how close that 48 can get to the 3, and if Fernando Matos can help them. As I say that, Fernando Matos goes down the inside line. That outside line absolutely held out, or off to dry, or put out to dry, and looks like that they might not really have any help for the end of this race.
Yeah, now the question is, what is the number 20 of Dave Wilson going to do? Because he cleared the number 3 of Tanner Sharp, and it is the white flag lap. Anything goes. Will Billy Wise make a move for the race lead? I don't think he can, especially with the number 20, Roberge's teammate right behind him. We're halfway down the back stretch, still no move.
And if he makes a move, it's going to have to be off number 4. You see all these drivers. Looks like the outside line has absolutely died. Tanner Sharp way up on the outside of the track. Here comes Billy Wise. Ooh, trouble! They're in contact. Christopher Burge gets turned, and I think Billy Wise. Here comes Tanner Sharp. He's going to get the win. No, Matos got it. Have
you ever? Where did he come from? Enter stage left, Fernando Matos gets the checkered flag. What on? We have to go back and watch that one on replay.
Let me restart my heart for a moment. I've never seen a finish like that in any race whatsoever.
Man, so there's the initial contact coming out of the corner, and Fernando Matos just goes right down to the green grass down there, comes across the start-finish line as your race leader. But Cameron, I am a little bit curious to know if he might have clipped the commitment line, possibly. I'll have to go back and see. It was close. Oh no, he definitely missed the commitment cone. And so Fernando Matos is scored as your race winner, barrel rolling after the finish line.
What an absolutely incredible way to win. You saw him just nuke himself down to the grass and just say, you know what, I'm gonna keep my foot in it. I don't care what happens after I cross the finish line. He goes straight up to the racetrack, no regard for anyone else right there. Just says, you know what? I got the win, boys. I'm going to go ahead and do my barrel rolls. We're going to go on board with Tanner Sharp real quick. You know, Tanner, this is going to be a good onboard because Tanner had to think that he had to win it in the bag. And then here comes Matos from the left. He's going to just come out of nowhere. See him make the move on Wise right here. Out of nowhere, the 17 right there. Absolutely blindsided. He goes for a roll himself. I can't wait to talk to these guys.
Have you ever seen a finish like that? I know I haven't. But Fernando Matos getting his first win in the SimPossible Racing League B-Car Series, that is pretty spectacular way to do it as well.
Absolutely.
I can't believe it.
After 75 laps, it comes down to a move in the grass. Technically, if this was real NASCAR, that probably would have been deemed highly illegal, but you know what? This isn't NASCAR. That's why this is a lot better. But absolutely incredible race. Really, not too many cautions. A lot different than we saw earlier in the season Daytona. So these guys behaved themselves well, and to come down to a finish like that, first win for Fernando Matos, and what a way to get it! Absolutely, just absolutely, Peter.
It leaves me speechless. I did not expect that at all.
And we're going to let these guys get out of their cars, get their thoughts collected, probably take some ibuprofen for those hard hits that everyone took, and we're going to get some interviews for you real shortly, so just hang tight. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Daytona International Speedway. We've concluded, see, words are hard, tonight's event, and we saw fireworks in the sky and on the racetrack. An absolutely incredible finish, one of the best I've seen in sim racing, bar none. Fernando Matos, you see him right there doing his victory donuts, throwing smoke everywhere because that car is absolutely used up. But before we talk to him, we're going to go ahead and talk to our second and third place drivers, and Peter Short has caught up with our third place driver, Billy Wise.
That I have. Driver number 32 machine, Billy Wise. My oh my, looked like you were possibly in the catbird seat there on the final lap. You were second there going on to the white flag. And looked like a little bit of contact there coming out of turn number 4 with who was then the race leader, and then all chaos from there. But you end up with a third place finish tonight. Talk us through your race.
Oh man, the car was fast. We had a couple really good green flag runs there at the beginning, and I don't know, man, happy 4th of July to everybody. We had a blast in the chat. in the race. We were having a good time. There toward the end, that last lap, of course, I had to duck out and try to make the pass. And I'm looking at the replay now. It might have been a little bit of blocking because I had to run pulling out, but I just hate that it ended that way. But we're just glad to bring it home third.
Yeah, absolutely. It looked like a really interesting night, but it seemed like from your perspective, it was like darned if you do, darned if you don't, because you did have the number 20 of Dave Wilson, who was the number 98 of Roberge's teammate, right behind you. Was that going through your mind there on the last lap?
Absolutely. I was in a Canadian sandwich there. I was pretty sure Dave wasn't going to go with me. He would keep up with Chris there, but I just had a run, I felt like, and I had to go on the outside, and whatever happened, and well, we see what happened, but it was just a blast. It was so much fun.
Absolutely. Do you enjoy these super speedway races? Because they're, one of the kind of a skill to them almost, but there's a lot of luck involved as well.
I love them. A lot of people say it's all luck, but I do think there's a lot of skill involved. There's a lot of split second decisions you have to make, and I think it's maybe 60-40, 60 skill, 40% luck, but I love plate racing. I was going for a win tonight to get a win in each series that we run. But we brought it home third, so it's all good, man. We just had so much fun. It's all good.
Absolutely. Well, it's definitely a fun race to watch up here in the booth. Lots of green flag running tonight, which was be awesome to see, especially after the Daytona race that started the season was not so clean, but nonetheless, great show here tonight. But before we let you go, you got some shout-outs for us?
Tonight we have SimPossible on the hood, on the car, so my only shout-out is to the guys, the league mates. I mean, they show up every week, Monday night, Wednesday night, and we just have a blast. It's such an awesome league, and we're doing something really special here, and just a big shout out to SimPossible Racing League.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That is your third place finisher, Billy Wise. Congratulations on your finish here tonight.
Thanks, man.
All right, well, I believe Cameron Rich has worked his way down to Tanner Sharp, who almost won the race.
Yeah, I got him right here. Tanner, I don't even really know what to say.
I'm blessed to be part of it, and I'm very, very proud of you guys. I really am.
All right, producer doing some stuff up here in the booth, but either way, I got Tanner right here, and Tanner, don't even really know what to say at this point. So close to your 5th win in a row. You had it there until the very end when a 17 car came out of the grass and speared you in the door, and y'all went flying. And what a finish! I had to restart my heart there for a bit. I think I had a bit of a heart attack. But either way, take us through those last few laps, because it looked like you and the 48 were working that outside line, trying to do everything you could and just not getting the help you needed, but doing a very good job together. You two worked together good all race. Just kind of take us through those last few laps.
Well, when the 48 wasn't overheating, I mean, he was pushing just great, just fine. We were getting the runs we needed. We just could never clear the 98 off the bottom. So by the time I would get side by side and almost clear him, the 48 would overheat, and he has to back off to cool it off. So that's what he was doing. He was doing his job. So it put me in the bind, just hold my line and hope best. And they wrecked off. They get the final. We get the white flag, and the 48 was really overheating really bad, oil and water, and he backed off. He had to. He had no choice but to. So that put me in the bind. I'm like, okay, I just got to hold my line. Really, it sucks, but I got to hold my line the best I can. And we come off turn 4, and they started mixing it up. I don't know what the hell happened up there, but all of a sudden they started getting into the wall, and they all shot to the inside of the track. And I'm on the outside. I'm like, all right, nobody's coming up, nobody's hitting me, cool, going straight, drafting off Weiss. As we're entering the trioval, I get this amazing run on him, this huge ass run on him. And I cut to the inside, and as soon as I knew I was going to pass, I'm like, yes, 5 in a row. I literally shouted, and all of a sudden, a couple inches towards the line, wham, right into the wall. I'm like, holy shit. Pardon my language on here. I think this is family oriented. So, and I'm like, I won. No way! What the hell? Here's a 17, and I just looked at the replay now, and he had to cut through the guy. He had to do what he had to do. He won that shit fair and square. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care what anybody says. Fernando won that race fair and square. He went to the grass to avoid everything. He did the pass in the grass to take the victory by 38 hundredths of a second on me. He surprised the hell out of me, and that's awesome. So congratulations, Fernando. Can I say it again? Holy crap, this time? All right, we'll go with holy crap. Sorry, everybody. I understand this is supposed to be a family thing, a family-friendly environment. But, man, what a heck of a race. I don't know what you guys were shouting in the booth, but I bet it had been exciting for you guys.
Yeah, we had just about the same reaction as you did. We didn't really know what to say because we were trying to have everything kind of come to us like that. But, either way, good result for you, finishing in second place. It's going to be very good for your points situation too. I know you've been on a tear lately, winning, of course, 4 in a row plus a second place. So going to be, trying to get all the points you can after missing Charlotte. So I bet you got to be glad about that. But next week, before the producer says something, which I know he's going to say, we go to Kentucky. How are you looking forward to that one?
Kentucky's a good 1.5-mile racetrack. It's bumpy. We have great performance on the 1.5-mile speedways this year. We didn't have a very good performance at Las Vegas this season. That's because we were having issues. We had an issue with the fast repairs, but otherwise, every 1.5-mile track we went to, we performed good speed. Atlanta, we got the pole early this season, and then with Chicagoland last week, we ended up dominating that race. So. And we missed Charlotte, unfortunately, but we practically made up for Charlotte, so Charlotte's out of our minds right now. So Kentucky's going to be a fun race for these guys, and we're off the restricted plate tracks tonight, and it was a really fun night. Really looking forward to Kentucky, and hopefully you guys had fun in the booth.
Absolutely, and not 5 in a row, but your average finish for the last 5 races, 1.2. So really, that's a very good mark right there. But Tanner, before we let you go, we know you got some shout outs for us, so let's hear them.
Yeah, let's go ahead and, well, first off, thank you to the good Lord above for all the opportunities he's given me in this life. Secondly, Jeff Schmidt. This might be just a little bit here, but Jeff Schmidt, he does a lot of great things for SimPossible. I understand he's got some good things going on for the future for this league. This is a great league. I mean, for if you're disabled and you want to do iRacing and you want to join the league, come to SimPossible. What you've seen tonight was fantastic green flag racing. This was the least amount of cautions on a super speedway track ever in the SimPossible Racing League. So that goes to show how much these guys know what they're doing out there now on the plate track and how much they're pushing, how much not. I know I screwed up tonight a couple times. I admit that. I'm not perfect, but at least I'm trying, and I make my own fair share of mistakes. So, but these guys did a fantastic job tonight. I think we only had like 2-3 cautions. So it was a great race for these guys. I'm proud of every single one of them. Congratulations to Fernando on his victory here in SimPossible on the B car side in this main series. Thanks to 3 Wide TV, you guys up there in the booth that called a great race every single week, including tonight. Thanks to everybody who comes to the chit chats on the 3 Wide TV channel. And National Guard, this paint scheme is special because of everything for people who support us or people who are in the military and fighting for this country. So this camouflage paint scheme is for you guys. My dad's name is riding with me tonight, so that's pretty cool. And Mountain Dew Shriners Hospital for Children. I think I got everybody. I know. Sorry, I'm really getting this on the long term here, but gotta throw everybody. This was a really cool and amazing race for everybody to watch.
All right, Tanner. Well, congrats on finishing second tonight. Very good run for you and a very good point situation. But as always, thank you for talking with us and hope to speak to you again next week.
Absolutely. Take care, guys.
All right. Well, now the interview that I'm very excited for. I think Peter Short has caught up with our winner, Fernando Matos, the madman himself.
That I have, and Fernando Matos, a first-time winner here in the here on 3Y TV and also in the SimPossible Racing League. But Fernando, you become the first Brazilian-born driver to win a race. It's your first win. Absolute awesome job here tonight. Tell us about that finish.
That was crazy. I saw people ranking, and I thought, well, I gotta avoid this. But when I avoided, they ranking even further, and I was able to gas to the gas and hold the car, and it felt a bit like the track racing, and what a crazy finish for my first win. Unbelievable.
Absolutely. Well, I think we all thought that Tanner Sharp had got the win, but like you had said, you were dirt tracking it down there through the grass and came across his nose at just the right time to get your first win. The finish left me speechless. I can't imagine from your perspective. But it was a really good race from you. It seemed like you kind of bided your time there in the back, kept that number 17 machine nice and clean. Tell us a little bit about your race and what your strategy was.
Yeah, this race, differently than the others, I had no mistakes on my own. I guess I was drifting a bit wide on turn 4, but luckily I had no mistakes on my own. My pit stops were clean, and that did it. I mean, this league is so competitive. Each tiny mistake can cost you. And tonight they feel that I was able to keep a hold on the mistakes and just make a clean race and be patient. It's hard to be patient on Daytona, but patience here is really important.
Absolutely. But now that you've got your first win here in the SimPossible Racing League, what are your thoughts about the next race at Kentucky? It's much different than here at Daytona.
To be honest with you, I have never raced at Kentucky. This is still my rookie season in NASCAR, so I have not raced at Kentucky, so I will have to do a lot of practice in there to get to the front to get a good result.
Well, it is definitely a lot different than Daytona. I'll give you that little tidbit here now. But hopefully you're able to get a lot of practicing in here this week because the next race at Kentucky, like you said, this is a competitive league, and I'm sure drivers will be gunning for that top spot in that next race. But before we let you go, Fernando, I'm sure you have some shout-outs that you'd like to give.
Well, shout out to my friends. Shout out to Max, who always watches my races. He's a big supporter of the number 17 and the league. So shout out to Max and his girlfriend Jasmine. Shout out to my coworkers who have it to bear with me listening to me talk about my races, but I have an incredible group of coworkers, and I'm so blessed to work where I work. Shout out to my mom, my dad, who watch every race, who got me into racing. I love you both, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Uh, I'm probably forgetting someone, but I really must say thank you to everybody. To Jeff for supporting me week in and week out. When I joined the league, I joined it, but they didn't know I was in the league yet. So Jeff had to chase me down and say, hey, are you joining the race? So huge shout out to Jeff. What a great guy. And to you guys on True TV. We so appreciate everything you guys do for us. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely, Fernando. Well, keep on putting on a good show for us because we love commentating y'all each and every week. But Fernando, Cameron, before we let Fernando go, you have any questions for him?
I just want to say, you put the 17 in victory lane on a plate track, which is something I could never do. So, you know what? Go celebrate, my friend. Whether you want to drink some beers or go light some fireworks off, go celebrate. Enjoy it, my friend.
Yeah, thank you, Cameron. Thank you, fellow 17 driver. Thank you.
All right. Well, Fernando, we'll see you the next race at Kentucky Speedway. But in the meantime, congratulations and go celebrate.
See you guys.
All right. Well, Cameron, I believe, first-time winner, it's always great to hear that. And it's actually really funny because Fernando's been talking over this slow-mo replay of the end of the race and his car pirouetting through the air. It's like you could put some classical music to that. It's almost like a dance in slow-mo. But nonetheless, I think you have been able to catch up with Jeff Schmidt, I believe.
Yeah, I got the man himself. He's over here shining his shoes, but Jeff, you're barefoot. I don't know what you're doing, but either way, Jeff, what a finish. The madman.
Oh, wait, that's not sand? Oh, no, that's carpeting. It's all right. Man, what a race. Holy crap. I words can only explain so much of how awesome that was. I'm super proud of everyone tonight. What a hell of a Daytona race. Excuse my language. It was just absolutely amazing, man. It really was. And, the fact that we went green as long as we did at Daytona, it just shows exactly what this league's about and how much everyone not only appreciates each other, but respects each other with their racing. Very cool thing.
Absolutely. A lot of good driving in the races tonight. I think we only had about, 3 cautions or so, which, compared to the first race of the season, pretty big turnaround. Really good to see that. And, for it all to come down to a finish like that, wow. We were left speechless. Of course, for me, words are hard. But, when something like that happens, words are even more hard. So, absolutely. Carlos is screaming in my ear right now. I'm not sure why he's screaming, so we're going to have to go ahead and mute him for a minute. But, yeah.
I think he was bringing up the fact that it's harder and not more hard. But that's what she said. So, oh yeah, we're family friendly here. We continue to be so. But we also like to have fun. I mean, there's a reason you guys don't hear the team speak when you guys broadcast, but it's a lot of fun, man. Everyone has such a great time. We've done everything that we can to make everyone feel comfortable and to have a place to race for these guys that. There's no judgment. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're in the back of the pack or in the front. It doesn't matter. We want you to be comfortable, have fun, be respected, and just have a good time. I mean, the bottom line is just having a lot of fun and making the best of what we have to deal with. There's a lot of severe disabilities that a lot of these guys have, and if we can facilitate them to have a good time to race, then by God, we've done something right. I mean, it's been amazing, and I'm blessed to be able to call all these guys my friends. I really am. There are some amazing people here, and don't judge a book by their cover. Don't ever judge a book by their cover. These guys they're people that you would see out in the public and think, you might think less than, or I would hope that you wouldn't. I would hope that you wouldn't, but you might think that they struggle with different things and they aren't capable of certain things, right? And that's far from the truth, man. These guys can put on a show. They can race hard. They're fast. Don't ever let that get you twisted here to think that because it is a league for disability that these guys aren't quick, because they are quick. And I know if I ran with them, I'd be fighting hard to win a race. That's for sure. As would anyone else. There's a lot of speed out there. There's a lot of commitment. There's a lot of speed. There's a lot of friendship, and put it all together, and you got SimPossible Racing League, pretty much.
Absolutely, you heard it from Fernando himself. He said, just no room for error nowadays. These guys are so good that you have to be perfect to win these races now, and that really shows how competitive this league is. But I want to ask you, Jeff, real quick. 16 races down in a 33 race season. We are at the halfway point in the B-Car series. Kind of what's your thoughts on how it's gone so far?
Absolutely amazing. I wouldn't have it any other way. Some of the races may have been a little bit caution-filled and whatnot, but you know what? They slowly are getting better, and the drivers are consistently getting better. To the point to where I need to practice, man, because when we do our fun races where I can race with them, I'm going to be left in the dust, because these guys are fast, and they're awesome at what they do. They do not lay back. I mean, this is straight up hardcore racing. Some guys that might, or some people rather, that might watch us on YouTube and follow the league, they might think that it's even though it's a league for those with disabilities, they might think that it's slower or less pace or whatever. That's not the case at all. I mean, these guys are putting down some fast lap times no matter where they go. It's hard to keep up.
Yeah, absolutely. As somebody who races in another league with some of these drivers, really when it comes to who you're racing, the fact that they may or may not have a disability doesn't matter when they're driving away from you and making you question your entire racing career. Of course, I was in a race a couple nights ago with a couple of these drivers, and I got beat by all of them. So definitely no lack in speed or talent for any of these guys. Always good to see that. But Jeff, you know what? Thank you so much for talking with us, as always. We know you have some shout-outs to all the people that help you make this league go round and round, so let's hear them.
Yeah, absolutely, Cameron. And thank you very much for your commentating. And Peter, awesome job. You guys always do amazing. 3YTV, Carlos with the cameras. You guys do a tremendous job of broadcasting these things, and we couldn't thank you enough. We really couldn't. I mean, there's no way for us to possibly thank you enough for what you've done for us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you to everyone that watches the races, the support. The chat room is always pretty cool to see guys that support us and watch the races and whatnot. I mean, that's awesome. That gives the drivers a lot of motivation. They know that they're being watched. They know that it's a big thing. It's a big deal. And, I wouldn't have it any other way. Very, very proud of everyone. Thank you to the drivers. Of course, I'm super proud of them, man. They are getting better and better, to the point of where I said I'm getting scared if I have to race them. I'll be in the back. They do such an amazing job racing with each other, and the respect that they give each other and the brotherhood that coincides with it. It's absolutely something that there's no other way to say it other than I'm extremely proud, man. Thank you to their families that help them out. Having a disability in the family is not an easy thing to live with, and a lot of their family is caretakers. A lot of their family helps them out with day-to-day activities, and thank you so much for the families to not only take care of the drivers and help them out with things that they need to, but also help them out with the racing. I mean, we have family members that help shift and spot and do different things for the drivers. How cool. I mean, they support the drivers so much, and it's an amazing thing. I'm glad that everyone has fun. That's why we're here. We're here to have fun. That's the main priority. If anyone knows of a driver with a disability, or if you are a driver with a disability, then please sign up and join us on track. Trust me, there's no pressure. It's a lot of fun. we'll accommodate you as much as we can and make you feel like family. That's what we're here for. If anyone has any questions about anything, feel free to message me as well. You can find us at simpossible@gmail.com. That's our website. You can find us at simpossible.racing.com. Or that's the website. SimPossibleRacing@gmail is our email. Sorry. You can also message me, Jeff Schmidt, at any time through Facebook, through any format that you can find me. If you can find me, go ahead and send a message through, and I'll be happy to reply to anyone for any reason. Just very grateful to be able to do this, and extremely proud of the drivers for overcoming the boundaries that they may have people may have thought that they had, and they don't. They overcame these things, and they're able to do something that a lot of people don't think that is possible. It's very inspirational, and I'm very proud to be part of it. Thank you, guys.
Awesome words from Jeff, as always, and definitely I think I'd speak for everyone here at 3Rod TV, and that we are very privileged to watch these races, being involved in most of them, if not all of them, from the beginning. So definitely, we are very thankful for that. But we go ahead and wrap up this broadcast real quick. I think, Carlos, you got the results, and I see you over there eating pizza off the floor, so probably don't do that. But Peter, take it away.
Man, our producer's going, what? Fernando Matos comes home with his first career SimPossible Racing League victory here tonight. Tanner Sharp was going for 5 in a row, but came up 1 position short, just 39 1/1000ths of a second behind number 17 machine. Billy Wise comes home in 3rd. Good run for him. Tom Johnson kept that number 56 clean after he fell 1 lap down. Got it, that lucky dog. Kept that machine clean. Comes home with a respectable 4th. 5th place falls to the number 48 of Mark Dingman, your outside pole sitter here tonight. Had a really good showing throughout the race, definitely a strong car. 6th place falls to Dave Wilson in the number 20 machine. He led a decent chunk of laps in that Cadbury Toyota, but comes home 6th. Nate Catilla finishes in the 7th position. He was a lap down at one point during the race. Alan Capers 8th. Christopher Burge led most of the race, but unfortunately ended up in the wall there on the last lap, and unfortunately could only salvage a 9th place finish, but did come across the finish line and finish the race just 50 seconds after Fernando Matos did, and he was the last car on the lead lap. Brian Lowhead rounds out your top 10. Behind him we have Johnny Berardi and Thomas Wise. Doug McCollum, the only other driver in the field tonight, who was not in the broadcast booth with me. Doug McCollum did not start the race, unfortunately, in that number 33 machine. It will be scored with a 13th place finish. But Cameron, that finish left me speechless. It's left me speechless again. My oh my, what a race.
Absolutely, and if you saw me on the results, I brought my car into the speedway illegally and decided to run some practice laps with you guys and have some fun before the race. But I see that Carlos is pulling a joke on us on the bottom of the screen right there, so go ahead and ignore him, because that's what we do up here in the booth anyway. But...
So I have a question. Does that mean I bathe somewhat, or what?
I'm gonna go and just say yes, or sometimes. I don't know. But either way, we have some people we want to thank as well. I want to thank SimTV for those cameras each and every week that allow us to show you some camera angles that are really nice looking. Thomas Morris from OCR TV for these graphics that look very beautiful, and they allow this stream to look a little bit better than it would originally. But either way, it was good before too. But those graphics just send it over the edge. I want to thank all the people in the chat for. It was good to see all the chats that we got tonight. Thank you all so much for keeping us company. We do read each and every one of them. Might not respond because we're watching race cars as well, but we definitely do read, and we will try to respond when possible, and we'll always give you a bit of a shout out because it's always pretty awesome. Everybody that watches, whether you watch live or the broadcast after the fact, it's obviously what keeps us going, and for the SimPossible Racing League as well, it's always good to get the views out for them as well as us here at 3Rod TV. So just all you people that support the league and support the channel, thank you so much. But I think that's all we got for you guys tonight. What a race. I think, me and Peter, Carlos, we're all speechless. I think Jeff is too. You know, he's the admin of the league, and he saw some stuff tonight. So, awesome race all around, each and every week. Awesome
I'm still
stuff.
looking for my shoes.
He's still looking for his shoes. He was shining his shoes, but he didn't have them on. That's just how awesome the race was. But you know what? All you guys out there tonight, I hope you have a good night. Stay safe on the 4th of July. If you go out and drink, don't drive. If you shoot fireworks off, don't blow your arm off or your foot or your hands or whatever. And you know what? Enjoy the 4th of July either way. Stay awesome, everybody, and have a good night.